Assassin's Creed Shadows just released the other day, and with no surprise, it has come out with many mixed opinions and extremes on both sides. Some people are saying this is a great return to form for Ubisoft, and other people are like, yeah, this game is just not really that good. I was not able to get any type of review code or early access. I don't have motion like that, so I just started playing it the day it came out and put in like 8 hours on the first day. I know, I desperately have to get a life, but I do feel like I have a decent gist of my first impressions so far. And I wanted to come on here and tell you guys the good, the bad, the okay, how it compares to other Assassin's Creed games, and whether or not this game is worth buying. And this is coming from someone who is relatively a big fan of the franchise and has played every single game. Before we jump into things, if you guys do enjoy this video, it would mean a lot if you could like, comment, and subscribe, as we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. With that being said, let's jump right into it. The first thing that we are going to be speaking on is the setting and the open world, as I feel like that's a pretty big aspect in these kinds of games. Firstly, I'll start off with the good aspects about it. This is an absolutely gorgeous open world and it's beautiful to explore. This is something that Ubisoft is usually always good at, even with its many faults with its open world designs, at least it's enjoyable to look at. Feudal Japan is a setting that I've been waiting for in this franchise for such a long time, and it's gorgeous. I love it so much. Every Assassin's Creed, one of the best aspects is how beautiful it looks in recapturing an ancient time period. They do that here amazingly. I think something that plays into that here is the dynamic weather. This is such a cool feature, and not even just in terms of Assassin's Creed, but video games in general. It's awesome watching the seasons change and your playstyle having to change depending on it. At first, I was worried that the seasons would change too quickly, but honestly, I didn't really have any issue with that. This is such a great feature that adds more detail and immersion into the world. But now let's actually talk about the open world itself, which is something I'm definitely more mixed on. To put it simply, if you've played any of the other Assassin's Creed open world games, this is going to be very familiar. I think they do improve on some aspects compared to other games, but the overall gist of it feels the same to an Origins, an Odyssey, and Valhalla. Like I already said, I'm not even 10 hours in, but most of the side content I can tell is not really going to have much depth or have any purpose of doing. But one thing that I will praise the open world for, or at least appreciate, is the fact that they minimalized a lot of it. One of my biggest issues with Assassin's Creed Valhalla was how many objectives and collectibles that there were. It was an ungodly amount, like it was actually way too many. But so far from my experience, Assassin's Creed Shadows minimalizes that extremely, which I appreciate a lot. But somehow, even with the extreme downsizing of that, the side content still doesn't seem that interesting. The main pieces of side content that I've seen thus far are places to get knowledge points which help you level up, and those places boil down to finding a chest or some lost pages. So nothing too interesting, but to help with the skill tree, it's not the worst thing to do. Another piece of content that we have are your typical camps to attack and take out a certain kind of enemy. But it does seem like there are a lot less in this game. The first main area only seemed to have like 3 or 4, so at least it's less compared to other games I think. But still, even with it being a less amount, I still can't be bothered to do it. I just never really enjoy those type of objectives at all. And lastly, if you've played other Assassin's Creed open worlds, you know how they function. There are a bunch of different districts or areas on the map, and each one is a different level. And in each of these areas, there seem to be designated quests for people in them. But at least for me, they seem really boring and uninteresting. Like the first one I found, they just gave me an objective to kill like 100 different guards. Like, I'm not doing that. So yeah, hopefully those improve a bit more and have more interesting storylines with them, but thus far, they don't seem too interesting. And the map in Assassin's Creed Shadows is also very big. It seems to be more on the scale of Origins though, which is, I guess, a bit better. But the horse does go fairly quick, so it's not the worst thing ever going from each objective to the next. So yeah, the open worlds in Assassin's Creed Shadows feels fairly similar to the other open worlds in this franchise. I do appreciate them downsizing in many areas, but it's not like the overall content was improved by this fact. It's just like they gave us less bad stuff. I can definitely see by like the 50-60 hour mark, this aging really poorly and me not wanting to do any bit of side content by the end of the game. But moving away from the setting in the open world, let's move into the gameplay, and there's a lot of good aspects to it, but some also that are not so good. Firstly, I want to say that the movement and animations are for the most part very fluid and I really enjoy them. My only slight issue with it is that I feel like I've seen every animation for parkouring, fighting within the first 10 hours of this game. Especially with the traversal, like descending, I swear they have one animation for like jumping down and it's infuriating. Like she does the same exact spin jump thing every single time, it is so annoying. But yeah, watching Naoe and Yasuke fight, the movement and animation for them are enjoyable and I really like it. And the finishers for both of them are really cool. Like I said, I feel like they're already a little bit repetitive, but it's not that big of an issue. But not even just within the combat, like just running around, like the running animations are like extremely smooth in this game. And the combat, for the most part, I do enjoy, especially Yasuke. Playing as him is really fun. He is genuinely just a tank. He runs through enemies. Some of his finishers are just so brutal, it's really enjoyable to play as him. But the combat on Naoe's side is a lot less enjoyable. And it's mainly because of the fact that enemies become so damage spongy when you play as Naoe. It's not the worst when you're just facing normal enemies, but when you face like stronger, brutish kind of enemies, it takes ages to kill them. I feel like I'm stabbing them with a butter knife. It takes a lot of hits, and I'll just do everything I can to avoid fights with her. It's not terrible when it's like 3 or 4 basic enemies, it doesn't feel too damage spongy. But if your stealth gets exposed and caught in a camp, just reload the save. There's no way you're going to fight off like 10 enemies at once, it's just not going to happen. I don't know how I feel about the idea, because her being designed this way really encourages using stealth with her, which I like. But also, I feel like the enemies are becoming more and more damage spongy, and I can't even imagine how it's going to be like in the late game. Like the first few hours of the game, I really didn't notice anything at all, but the more I've been playing, the more and more damage spongy they get. But the part of the gameplay that I really like the most is the stealth. This is the most stealth-oriented game we have gotten since Syndicate, probably. Well, I guess that would actually be Assassin's Creed Mirage, since that was pretty stealth-oriented, but if we're talking full, like, title Assassin's Creed games, it's been since Syndicate. From the stealth that I've done thus far, it has been really enjoyable. There's clearly a lot more of a focus on it in this game. Naoe overall plays really well with the stealth. And you also have different tools to use like kunai and smoke bombs that can help you. The traversal also works really well with everything. And some just like smaller things too, like going prone, hiding in different locations. Overall, everything is like really solid. It's no like amazing stealth system, but it's the best it's been in a while. Also, the enemy AI doesn't seem to be too bad, and there's also settings to increase the difficulty of the stealth. So when you do that, enemies detect you faster and can see in wider areas, so it's a pretty cool thing. The stealth genuinely feels like it's integral in this game, especially when you're playing as Naoe. Which is crazy to even say. It's been ages since I could be like, yeah, stealth is a focus here. But moving on to the last section, we're going to be talking about the story, the cutscenes, dialogue, things of that sort. And this is probably the part that overall I am the most mixed on. Again, I feel like it's a little bit too early to sit here outright and say things are bad in this game. But if anything is going to be bad, it is the dialogue, the facial animations, and things of that sort. And the voice acting. Like, all of this just really not that great so far. The dialogue and voice acting just don't feel natural. Every conversation feels very forced and somewhat robotic. But it's weird because in some sections I'm like, oh, this wasn't bad at all. Like, there's a more emotional moment early on in the game, and I felt like they nailed it pretty well. And I think the entire prologue and opening was done well in that aspect. But like when it just comes to like normal basic back and forth conversations, like more casual things, it feels weird. And the facial animations, they're definitely better than the dialogue and voice acting, but it's nothing amazing, it's just okay. And I think the reason behind this is because I believe these cutscenes are dynamic. So there can be some good things with the dynamic cutscenes, but some bad aspects also. With the good aspects being that we can visibly see on our character the events that just happened on them previous to the cutscene. Okay, I feel like I'm wording that terribly, but the scene I'm showing you now, my character Naoe was just in the rain and I went inside, and you can visibly see that she was in the rain. Her hair is wet and you can see the raindrops on her face. I really think that's an awesome feature here, but I feel like the bad outweighs it a bit more in this situation. But especially the voice acting, it's just really not that good in my opinion. And I don't know, I wasn't expecting anything crazy. Ubisoft, I really don't have the highest expectations in that sort. It's definitely more modern Ubisoft because in the past the voice acting and dialogue used to be amazing, but now it's just not the greatest. And another weird thing with the cutscenes, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm playing on the Xbox Series X and the transitions like in and out of cutscenes were really like choppy. Like going into cutscenes, like the game would just like freeze for a second, then go into the cutscene, which isn't the worst thing ever. The more the issue that I have is when I'm exiting a cutscene and like the game renders, but it's like very pixelated for like a second and then everything loads in. I know it's like really small, but like it happened a good amount of times. In the story, I feel like I'm a little bit too early on to have like a concrete opinion on it, but overall I think it's solid. I think there are some interesting aspects to it, but nothing yet to really get me like entranced and really into it so far. I'm going to be giving minor spoilers on the first few hours of the story, so if you don't want to hear that, jump to this point right here. But so far, Naoe's storyline is just kind of this revenge plot. Her father dies early on in the game and she seeks vengeance against the order that took him out. And she is also seeking to retrieve this box that they stole. So yeah, I'm hoping that stuff gets fleshed out more because right now, it's nothing too interesting. And in terms of Yasuke's plotline, I'll be honest, I have not gone back to playing as him yet. I had not realized there was going to be a major amount of time before you start playing as Yasuke again. Like I said, I'm like 8 hours in, I've done the first 2 main assassinations, and still, I'm not playing as him yet. But I have heard from many people that Yasuke's story is a lot more interesting than Naoe, so I'm excited to get to that part. But again, if you've played any of the other Assassin's Creed open worlds, the story structure seems very similar to them. You get this diagram of all the members of the order that you have to take out, and I'm assuming that we're just going to be going around doing these assassinations throughout the entirety of the game. Very similar to an Origins, an Odyssey, and Valhalla. But again, it's not the worst thing ever. I like to do assassinations. It's an Assassin's Creed game. I want to be doing that. I just hope they are interesting assassinations. Because out of the 2 so far, one of them was kind of interesting and the other one was just not really that good. But yeah, overall the story isn't anything crazy yet. It's just okay, really not much to say about it. I am hoping that we get some like Assassin and Templar story beats later on in the story. That would be great to see. But yeah, overall Assassin's Creed Shadows is a decent game. I'm having a good amount of fun with it so far, and I think I'm going to continue to have fun with it. There are a solid amount of aspects here that are just straight up good. Nothing else to say about it. They are just good aspects to this game. But you're also going to have the Ubisoft typical issues that you're going to get with these kinds of games. Not the greatest open world, and I don't want to bash the story yet because I'm just simply not far enough, but so far it doesn't seem the most interesting. This is kind of the typical feeling I feel like we get with modern Ubisoft titles, and I feel like that slightly carries over here. But I also do think there's enough good here to genuinely enjoy the game and have a good time with it. My main thoughts just kind of put together is that if you've played other open world Assassin's Creed games, this is going to be very similar. So do with that what you will. If you don't like them, don't get this game. If you do enjoy them, get this game. If you're more mixed on those kinds of games, wait for a sale. I'm not trying to act like this is identical to the other open worlds. One of the biggest changes here that I've seen that this is a lot more grounded compared to a Valhalla and Odyssey, which I appreciate a lot. Right now, with my predictions on how the game is going to turn out, I feel like it's going to be a tier above Odyssey and Valhalla, but I don't know how much higher of a tier that is. So in terms of rankings with the other Assassin's Creed games, I think this is going to end up in the mid tier. Nothing too great, but definitely not bad by any means, just a solid good game. But overall, I'm having a good time with it, I'm enjoying it, it's pretty fun so far. I will eventually be doing a full review on this game once I beat it to have my full thoughts, a big full review, so if you guys do want to see that, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this entire video, your guys' support means the absolute world to me. I hope all of you watching have a great day, I'll see you in the next video, and God bless.